Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for January 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. We're going to give you some key strands to look out for, particularly involving your ruler Jupiter, where there's some really exciting stuff going on. But then please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the key influences and timings particularly relevant to your sign. As you come into this new month, so Jupiter is in your sister fire sign of Aries. Now Jupiter in Aries is a very dynamic energy, but of course last year it did go through a big retrograde, first of all in Aries, before retreating into Pisces, and it only emerged after 4 months on the 23rd of November, and then returned to the sign of Aries on the 20th of December. So you haven't really had Aries energy around Jupiter, your ruler, for very long as we enter the new year, about 10-11 days. But as you make your way into this new year, it's forging a delightful link with Venus, the planet of attraction, the planet of money, so that needs to be explored. You also have a new moon in your 3rd house, the sign of Aquarius, which is going to be in a conjunction, a disassociate conjunction with Pluto, which is reaching the end of its time in the sign of Capricorn in 2023. But Jupiter, your ruler, forges an amazing alliance with that event. And then for the next week too. But the end of this month sees Jupiter and Mars spurring each other on, and crucially Mars also links brilliantly to the Sun as the month comes to a close. And these are all very, very action orientated energies. Mars has been in your sector of relating since the 23rd of August, but it too went into a very draining retrograde on the 30th of October, and of course squared up with Neptune across October, November, the first week of December. So your relationships can really be sparked up by this new start. So much to tell you about. Please stay with me. But if you would like to understand what this year will hold for you personally, and ascending above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your forecast for the year. If you order it at the end of year 2022, you get the rest of that year free. But also my special package of 30% off, you will get your life roadmap, your character analysis, which can help you to understand some repetitive patterns that may have come up in your situation, but it can also help you to seize opportunities with greater conviction. I will also, in my package, give you your 12 zodiac sign written forecast for each of the signs, which gives you something to go back to as we go through this new year. Please see the link below for more. Also, if you're new to my channel, thank you for joining me. Please click and tap on the bell notification symbol if you'd like to become a subscriber. For all ongoing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. So Sagittarius, as you make your way into January, so the Sun, as usual, is in the sign of Capricorn, which for you is house 2. Mercury's there, but in that retrograde. So important to know that all the retrogrades of Mercury in 2023, including this one, start in earth signs. The last one, which begins in November 23, does terminate in your sign. But you start this year with Mercury retrograde in the 2nd house. So when it occurs in Taurus in the spring, that's going to be in your 6th house, very much to do with practicalities. And then the one that occurs in Virgo is in your 10th house. So 2nd, 6th, 10th, very earthy. So when it comes to your resources this year, you're going to have to look for practical solutions. And because of the retrograde early in January, you will need to micromanage your resources very carefully. Now, of course, Mercury retrograde can trigger issues with payment systems. invoicing, transport, data and technology. So we all know that. But Mercury retrograde also offers some opportunities. So the opportunity here is to think about your self-worth, the second house, or your resources in a fresh way. Now, the critical thing of this lineup of influences, the solar return, as you come into the new year, is Venus's alliance with Pluto, which I think can bring breakthroughs around your resources throughout 2023. But of course, with Pluto in the mix, power can also be a factor. Things can be offered where there can be catches. It's definitely not as sinister as the square or the opposition, and it could be some kind of transition around the basis of your existence, which gives you a lot more security. But because Mercury is retrograde, you can't take that for granted. You will have to work at managing those resources in a very attentive and precise way. However, on the 3rd, Venus relocates into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is friendly and it's sociable, and it's definitely the sign of person kind. But of course, you've had the rather stern Saturn in this location for the last couple of years. So your interactions with potentially neighbours or siblings may have had a few challenges during that time. Perhaps you felt less in the flow when it's come to expressing your points of view or your belief systems. But the good news is that Venus moving here suggests that people can be really drawn to what you have to say from very early in the year. But critically, for the first week, Venus and Jupiter, your ruler, but the lesser and greater benefics in traditional astrology, in simple terms the planets of fortune, they are collaborating marvellously well. So your mode of communication can draw goodness to you right from the get-go of this year. But on the 6th there is a full moon which occurs in Cancer. But of course this sign is governed by the moon, so the moon's in its dignity here. But on the other side of the heavens, we have the Sun in Capricorn, but very close to the retreating Mercury. So the 2nd 8th house axis is activated within your situation. So I think that this can be about trying to grapple with the balancing of the books. We're all dealing with some fundamental changes in our cost base, because of the headwinds affecting everybody in the financial global environment. But the great news for you is that Uranus, the planet of surprises, but also the planet that can be quite erratic, which has been making you feel a bit stressed over the last couple of years in its right angle to Saturn, well, that actually blesses this full moon in a way which suggests that if anyone can use innovation to change their financial circumstances for the better, it's going to be you. And that ability to step outside, see the big picture, is something you have a great gift for anyway. But what Uranus is asking you to do is to then deliver the innovation in a practical way which works, which gives you tangible benefits. The 6th house. So we're going back to the need to be very earthy this year in your approach. But on the 12th, Mars does end that retrograde in your sector of relating, and if you have been experiencing frustrations around relationships over the previous 10.5 weeks, it sure would not be a surprise. And some of those relationship tangles may have even been with people you're pretty close to, because Mars was in that very draining angle with Neptune through October, through November, the first week of December, and of course the retrograde has gone on until the 12th of this month. But Mars going forwards really is going to bring some great possibilities as this month develops. Now Mercury also ends its retrograde on the 18th, but not before the Sun continues to activate a great link with Uranus. So despite the full moon asking you to get things in immediate alignment between your everyday money and your longer term money, your sense of self-worth and your higher purpose, of why you do things. So are you motivated just for the financial side of things, or is there something deeper which drives you on? That's what that full moon asks you to look at. But the sun continues to be in that very enterprising angle with Uranus. So if anyone, as I said, can find fresh ways to do things, it's going to be you. Which brings us to the 20th and the sun's transition into the sign of Aquarius, joining with Venus, but critically with Saturn. The key here is that life's going to speed up. Now, you're a mutable sign, and of course you love information. Your sign is very much about the 9th house, higher information. And as I'm fond of saying, archers are an absolute treasure trove of knowledge. You know, you're always downloading new ways of looking at things, new information. But the 3rd house is more quicker. It's quicker moving energy. It's the more urgent energy of everyday interactions. Could see you more restless, wanting to move around more, get a little fitter. If New Year's resolutions haven't quite taken hold, that had a root in being more virtuous, certainly getting more physically fit can be triggered by the sun's move into this area. But the sun is also at this point of the month aligned to Pluto. So we have a conjunction between the sun and Pluto across week 3, first of all in the sign of Capricorn. The alignment with Pluto from Aquarius is a disassociate one, so Pluto's not in Aquarius. That doesn't come until the 23rd of March, but it's so close at 28 degrees and 20 minutes that that's where the connection is. So your ideas, which may have felt really quite thwarted over the last couple of years because of the role of Saturn, seem to gain a currency. It's almost like everybody wants to hear what you've got to say. And as long as you express your ideas with not just conviction, but sincerity, the chances are that people are going to be very open to what you have to say, because Saturn and Venus come into a conjunction on this new moon. Venus has moved that much forwards in the month. It's parked up next to Saturn. This could lead to a very serious but profound conversation with someone, but one that means that both sides know exactly where the other is coming from. But also on this new moon, Pluto is connecting with the sun, just obviously from Capricorn to Aquarius, but your ruler Jupiter is linked in a sextile to the sun, the moon and Pluto. This is a really, really wonderful set of alliances, because Jupiter in the 5th house is about joy. Jupiter can be a jovial influence, but also it's about being a bit more risk-taking. The 5th house is the sector of chance and risk, not necessarily reckless risk, but your ideas can just really build up a lot of momentum at this part of the year. And I think you're going to be really bubbling with enthusiasm. The 22nd sees Uranus also end a retrograde, which began on the 23rd of August. If there have been times, especially up to the first week of December, but really over the last couple of years, where you have found it very, very hard to balance the demands you've had with delivering them in a way that feels comfortable, structured and efficient, it would be a surprise, because I feel that you may have felt quite penned in, frustrated, irritable, but Uranus going direct and Saturn being in such a constructive alliance with Venus as it can be, as much as it can be testing. Venus conjunct Saturn could see a very telling conversation, but I feel Uranus going direct and all the good stuff that's coming in is something to really savour. Also on the 27th, Venus moves into house 4. If you have wanted to get your home as comfortable and as peaceful and tranquil and safe and calm and decorated as you would like, Venus gives you a great opportunity to do so in the following 28 days, but crucially it forges a semi-sextile to your ruler Jupiter. Not as strong as the sextile, but still supportive. Also, the Sun continues to link brilliantly with Jupiter through week 4, and then Jupiter and Mars are aligned in a wonderful sextile, which is going to give you so much drive, enthusiasm, passion, desire, but also confidence. But then the Sun links into that sextile marvellously well. But particularly the Sun's link to Mars suggests that whereas certain alliances may have seemed really distorted, difficult to be clear about, as you come to the end of this month, it really feels like things are moving at pace, giving you a real sense of traction and momentum. And, you know, what a way to enter this new year. Yes, you will have to marshal those resources with precision all this year and be very earthy and businesslike, but in general your interactions with others move into a new sphere of possibility as January evolves. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Sagittarius. I'd like to wish you a very happy year 2023.